Hello everyone, Tone here, and today I wanted to take a look at Dominion. Dominion is a deck building card game. Notably, it is not a roguelike. It does have a lot of appeal to me that is similar to the appeal I have to roguelikes. So I think a lot of you would like it. But the reason I wanted to check this out is because lately we've been checking out deck builders. We looked at Dream Quest recently. Dream Quest is the original roguelike deck builder. Well, this is perhaps the original deck builder. I don't know if it's truly the original, but it's definitely the earliest, like, very popular one. This game came out in 2008. For context, Dream Quest came out in 2014, 6 years later. And this game is still very popular. I'm playing on the site right now, Dominion.games. Probably the best way to play it right now, if you don't want to play with a physical copy. Again, it is a board game. And even then, it's probably might be better because you don't have to do all the setup and stuff. These games go fast when you play online, which is great. But yeah, it takes seconds to get into a lobby. We'll play a real game later against another human randomly chosen for us. And they do tournaments multiple times a year. They still release expansions for the game. The last one came out earlier this year in March. So very active community. They're still expanding the game. Very cool stuff. A few things about Dominion. I just wanted to mention, we talked about this on the first episode of Ascension Run, my roguelikes podcast. You can check that out at tonehack.net/podcast. And I spoke to Luxadream about it for quite a while. We were both real into the game back then. And we did talk about a lot of the similarities to roguelikes and stuff like that during that episode. So if you enjoy this and you want to know more, definitely check that out. But yeah, I've been really into these deck builders lately, and in particular, I've been into exploring the early deck builders. And I wanted to check out... First, I looked at Dream Quest, and I'm looking at some of these even other early ones. I think we'll probably look at Ascension here soon. I'm going to check out Netrunner. These are all very early games in the deck builder sphere. So I'm just kind of interested in them, because I really have enjoyed, over the past few years, just decks as a game mechanic. I think cards work really well when used well, and it's worth exploring, especially with how popular they are in the roguelike realm. So, as I said, we're playing on Dominion.games here. There's a Steam version. This Dominion.games website is free. If you want to play with expansions, there's a subscription, so you pay every month. The Steam version, I don't know if it's as active as this, so big caveat there. You might not, I don't know how easy it is to find people to play with. It's supposed to have a better AI for if you want to play against a computer, but I haven't tried that. That's just what I've been told. It actually uses some kind of machine learning to learn how to play, whereas the AI on this version, last time I played it, or looked into it, it really only knows how to play the base set. Once you get expansions, it really falls off. But the one on Steam, you have to buy all the expansions individually, but once you own them, so you don't have to get the subscription or pay the subscription fee. But I think it's like over $100 to get all of them. It's quite a big initial investment if you want everything. But yeah, Dominion.games is where I'm playing now. It's where I would recommend. I've had a lot of good experiences on here. So I think what we'll do first is just enter in a game with a bot, and I'll give you a little explainer on how the game works and how to play. And I'll just show you on here as well. We're going to play on the base set, which is the original Dominion set. That has 26 Kingdom cards in it, which are the main cards you play with. All of the expansions, I did some quick math. I may have missed something, but it looked like there was about 348 additional cards for a total of 374 Kingdom cards. Every game includes 10 of them, so there are like infinite iterations. I actually think there's so much depth to just the original 26. So I'm setting this to base only, and we're going to play with a bot right here. A new server version was released while I loaded this, so I guess we are going to F5 and get back into this. Okay. Let's try that again. Of course they're gonna patch the server and make us restart while I'm actually recording for you guys. All right, well, this is what the base Dominion UI looks like when you get into a game. So you start with 10 cards in your hand, you get 7 coppers and 3 estates. We'll talk about those in a moment. And how this game works is these cards on the side here are always in the game. So you have these money cards, copper, silver, and gold. That's what you do to purchase items with gold. And the bottom left of these cards, you can see how much gold they cost. And then these are victory cards. And these give you victory points. This is the province, it gives you 6. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most victory points wins. Pretty straightforward from that aspect. So we start with 7 coppers. These give you 1 coin each. And 3 estates, they give you 1 victory point each. And then in the middle here, we have the kingdom. So this is 10 random cards. If you're playing on a home set, or like you can a lot of times, like, people will just pick what cards they want to put in the middle here because they think it'll make for an interesting game. When you do matchmaking online, it'll be essentially random cards. So here's everything we get here. So here's 10 from the original 26 in the base set. So I'm going to go and click start game here, and we'll kind of explain some of the rules and mechanics as we go, and then we'll get into a real game with a real human here. So you draw 5 cards per turn. At the end of your turn, you discard all of your cards. So we drew 4 cards and 1 estate. One big thing that's like kind of important to know about this game as you play it is because of the deck composition and the number of cards you draw. You basically you will draw either 2, 3, 4, or 5 copper in your opening hand. It's pretty rare to draw 2 or 5 copper, so usually you'll have 3 or 4, and then out of the automatically what is remaining in your draw pile. So these 5 cards that remain here are what you're going to end up in your hand next turn. So you always know what your first 2 turns are going to be. So between that and looking at your kingdom, you can start planning what you want to do. So we know next turn we're going to draw 3 coppers and 2 estates. So usually you open with 4, then 3, or 3, then 4 money to buy things here. And very rarely you'll get 2 or 5. And so you can, that's kind of nice sometimes, because sometimes you want to get to a card that costs 5 here. But it's much rarer. So the way this game works is you draw your cards, you go into an action phase where you can play actions. We don't have any actions in our decks. We skipped right to the buy phase. So now we get to buy cards. So you start by playing your treasures. We can just auto-play our 4 coppers, which gives us 4 coin here to spend. And we have 1 buy. That means you can only buy 1 thing per turn on default. Some cards will give you an additional buy, and then you can buy 2 things if you have enough money for it. So I'm going to take a quick look at our kingdom here. Actually, we're going to keep this simple. I'm just going to buy a silver here. So silver means this costs 3 and it gives us 2 coin instead of the 1 that copper gives us. So we can get into getting more money faster. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing again. Our opponent here is playing as well. We can read what they're doing on the side here. They bought a militia, which is what I would have done in a normal game. This is an action. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go buy the witch, because I had 5 that time, which was a lot easier to do because we had the silver. So this guy's playing militia against me. This gives them 2 gold, so it's kind of like a silver in that respect. But it also, or 2 coin, I should differentiate that because there's a card called gold. This also forces, it's an attack. It forces us to discard 2 cards from our hand, or down to 3 in case we had a different number than 5. So we're going to head and discard an estate and a copper. Those are our worst cards in my hand. So I just have these cards in here, so I'm just going to go ahead and buy something else. We'll go ahead and buy a militia as well. I'm going to get some action cards so I can show you how an action phase works. Which I didn't draw any this time, so I'll do this and we'll go ahead and buy a market. You don't have to worry about what these cards do for now. They're going to make me discard again. So the thing to note about victory cards is they don't actually do anything when they're within your hand. You need them in your deck to win, but they're effectively like a curse card would be in any other roguelike deck builder. They just bloat your deck with cards that you don't want to draw. So I'm just going to discard those because they don't do anything for us. So that's one of the really cool things about this game is you start to, in order to win, you make your deck worse, which I think is a really cool mechanic. Alright, so we have action cards, so we actually have an action phase now. So you can only play one action per turn, but some cards will give you an action as well. So if I had the Witch I purchased in my hand, we'd only be able to pick one of those. So I'll go ahead and play Militia here, forces them to discard down to 3, because it's an attack. We saw that on our end before. I'll go ahead and I'll buy a Laboratory this time. This gives us +2 cards and +1 action. They got a Witch as well, so what the Witch does, 2 cards, and it gives us a Curse. So Curse is a specific card in this game. It is a victory card that gives us -1 victory point. These are really bad because they are negative victory points and they, like other victory cards, bloat our deck. I got a Witch, so I'm going to play that against them. That means we drew 2 more cards. I drew an Estate there and a Copper, which gave me a little bit more money to spend here. I'll play those and go ahead and buy, I don't know, let's buy another Silver. So I'm just kind of showing you guys the flow of the game here. I don't want to play against this guy too much, or too long, but I played Militia again. He had to discard. We were buying stuff. I got some money. Let's go ahead and buy a gold. Gold costs 6, but gives you 3. Swing as discard. I will get rid of my coppers. So I'll go ahead. I didn't show you a marketed earlier. This is +1 card, +1 action, +1 buy, and +1 coin. A little bit of everything at the market here. So another big concept in this game is when cards give you actions or plus cards. So one way to think about cards in your deck is it costs a card a draw to draw any card in your hand. This replaces it with another card in your deck because it gives you +1 card. So that negates the cost of drawing this card. And getting +1 action negates the cost of playing this action card, which is pretty cool. That means I could, if I had a deck full of markets, I could just play these all day. Now when you do play cards in your hand, they go up here, so you can't play any card in your deck twice in one turn. But so I'll play Market. I drew a Copper. I got my action back, so I'll play Laboratory, which is +2 cards, +1 action. So now I'm getting extra cards back in addition to replacing the draw I spent on Lab here. And that brought us up to 5 buys here. I'll get another Laboratory, or 5 coin. Well, I think I'm just going to go up here and buy a province here, and then we'll jump into a real game. And I just drew a bunch of money here. I have 9 coin. I can buy a province. Now, in an actual game, you probably wouldn't want to buy a province that early, but that gave me 6 victory points, which is pretty big. So the end condition in this game is either all of the provinces get bought. You notice there's 8 of each victory card. Or of these 3 at least. I think there are 10 curses. Or any 3 piles are depleted will also end the game. So if you run out 3 here, then the game will also end, even if there's still provinces left. And whoever has the most victory points when those conditions occur wins the game. So with all that explanation in mind, I think we will check out a real game. I hope that was helpful at least. Let's see, can I resign here? Sorry, Bot Lord Reddington. I'll give you the win here. And you get a resign screen, you can see your deck and all this stuff. Alright, so let's check out an actual game here. By the way, a reminder, if you guys want to support my channel and help me make me and my work here like more sustainable, you can do that over at patreon.com/Tonehack. So go check that out if you would like. I'd appreciate it. But let's get into an actual game. So I'm going to play base here. They actually changed this UI. You used to pick expansions to play, but I actually really like what they did here, at least conceptually. I haven't tried anything yet. But level 1 is just base. Level 2 just adds like more cards, but no like new mechanics basically. And then as you go up in levels, they slowly add like additional mechanics, which is really, it seems like a pretty nice way to ease people into the game, which can be intimidating if you just jump into like the full set. I actually think just the base set is so well balanced and fun to play. Most people like think it's like boring. They want like all the cards. I actually really love playing just base. And that's what we're gonna do here right now. So I set my level to base. And we'll jump into a rated game here. I'm playing with another random human, which is a little risky. In a recording like this, but we'll see what happens. There is an ELO system here, so I got matched with someone with lower ELO than me. That probably doesn't matter. Wow. They just resigned right away. I don't know why. Howard the Duck of Marvel fame there. Okay. Our ELO went up, which I'm concerned about because, like I said, I haven't played in a while, so I probably belong in a lower ranking than I'm actually in right now, as far as whatever skill I'm going to enter a game as. But we'll go into another one. See, we get into these games like immediately. So one thing is, I'm always going to start the game right away, so that the other player can see their hand and plan out their turn. I always like to just be friendly to the players in my chat as well. Look, this guy has a really high ranking compared to us. That may not bode well. So it's always good to look at your kingdom. So I'll talk through a little bit of strategy here, but also try to play quickly so we don't hold them up. But Chapel trashes hands, so you can trim down your deck. This is a very strong trasher. So is Sentry. What kind of Militia is really good as an attack card. Smithy is great draw, as is Laboratory and Library. I usually look at what gives me extra cards, what gives me extra actions, what gives me extra buys. I don't see anything on here that gives us an extra buy, so at most we'll only be able to add one card into our deck per turn, outside of cards that add cards. So I don't want to hold this guy up too much. I'm going to go ahead and play 4 here and go ahead and buy a Militia. And I think when there's no extra buys, that you kind of want to get up to the point where you are able to buy provinces early and just be able to buy them more often than your opponent. I'm going to go ahead and buy a Chapel here to help us trash our hand. Having 2 action cards, okay. They could have collided here, but they didn't, so this is a pretty good way to start. And I like to pay attention to what our opponent is doing here. So they bought a Militia and a silver. So they have to discard 2 cards, which can be pretty nasty. They lost a copper, which is some of their buying power this turn. We have 3 money left over here, but we have 5 total. I'm going to go ahead and buy a... I like Sentry a lot. I'm going to get the Laboratory, which is going to be card draw for us. Okay, now we just have 3. I'm going to go buy a silver. I'm going to try and trash all of my coppers to get them out of my deck so we can just draw better cards. So I'm going to try and get I need to get other like money into our deck first. So I can play Chapel, and I'm going to trash all 4 of these coppers. I'm basically just spending this turn trashing instead of buying. They bought a Merchant. What Merchant does is the first time you play silver this turn, you get +1, and it's also +1 card, +1 action. He's making me discard. I'll get rid of the estate and the copper. Oops. So you can play like 10 merchants in a turn, then play 1 silver, and you end up getting +10 gold in addition to that silver. You play Laboratory first because it refunds the action. I drew 2 estates, which is bad, but it does get them out of our deck. I think we know that Chapel is on the bottom there. I have $4 here. What do we want to buy with that? I think I'm gonna get another silver. We trashed a lot of copper out of our deck. Nothing here gives us plus actions, more than one action back either, so I can't play lots of action cards in a turn, except Throne Room. You may play an action card from your hand twice. So if I play Throne Room on something that's plus action, we technically get 2 actions back from it. Alright, we're gonna play Chapel and trash both of our coppers in this estate. So I've gotten rid of 6 of my starting 7 coppers and 1 of my starting 3 estates. Estates aren't great victory cards, so we'd rather have them out of our deck. And all we can get, if we play a silver, that gives us 2, which doesn't buy us anything, so I am going to just discard that. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and play our militia. He's choosing what, or they are choosing what cards they are going to discard from their hand. Okay. And we are going to have 5 coin. I'll probably go ahead and buy another lab. I discard 2. This isn't a good trashing turn, especially if I'm discarding right now. I'm gonna go ahead and trash or discard the chapel and the estate from my hand. Okay, so they're buying. I haven't been paying too close attention to them as I'm explaining what I'm doing. They're buying a couple of throne rooms here. Throne rooms are pretty strong cards, so I'm gonna play my labs so I can draw. We get to play militia here. Nothing here gives us a lot of money except for merchant. Merchant might actually be the way to go on this board. That might be too slow with no plus buys. But 1 merchant, or 1 silver, which gives us 2, and then 6 merchants lets us buy a province. But we have to spend 6 turns buying merchants. It's probably too slow when we can buy gold. And I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So we're kind of building a deck around buying treasure here, which is what these cards are referred to as. That strategy is usually referred to as big money. We just get lots of these. The other thing you can do is build engines built around action cards that give you money and such, which is what I really enjoy doing in this game. But this card, or this hand, Kingdom, which is the set of 10 cards here, this Kingdom doesn't seem well suited for that. Mostly because I don't see anything that gives us plus buys. And usually my goal is to get to turns where we can buy 2 or 3 provinces in a turn with a really well created deck. Alright, I have 1 action. I can either trash or play militia. I'm going to play militia here, because I think the only thing we want to trash is our estate. We have 4 to spend. I think I'm going to buy a throne room here. Another militia wouldn't be bad, just to really keep punishing them. So they're playing Sentry. This card's really strong. +1 card, +1 action, so it refunds its draw and action. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, trash and or discard any number of them, and put the rest back on top in any order. So this trashes really well, and it gives you really strong deck control. Let's play a laboratory. I'll throne room the laboratory this time, which gives us an extra action and draws through our entire deck there. So I can play militia here. And let's see. We're gonna trash cards from our hand. I'll trash the estates and the copper. Do I want to trash a silver? Right now I'm getting 3 on an ideal turn, 7, 8, 9. I think I'm gonna trash a silver. 2. Okay, yeah, let's do this. 2 estates, a copper. I'm gonna go ahead and trash the silver. And then we'll pick up an extra gold here, I think. Either a gold or a militia. But militia makes our deck a little less consistent. Because we might not be able to play it unless we get extra actions through Throne Room. So yeah, let's buy another gold here. Let's go the militia route, actually. You know why I shouldn't have gone the militia route, actually? It's because I think we're getting to the point where we're going to be drawing through our deck every turn. Alright, we'll go ahead and discard these. We're going to draw through our whole deck again. So I don't care if I discard those, because we're going to get them back. See, I have 2 cards in my discard pile and 3 in my deck, so I only need to draw 5 cards. I can do that with this hand right now. As I Throne Room Laboratory. And now I can play Militia. Play Militia again. Auto play our treasures. We're at the point where we can start buying provinces, but I want to make our deck a little more consistent first. And I think I'll decide to do that with more laboratories. I think a laboratory and maybe a throne room will get us there. Sentry would be very good too. I don't know if I have the luxury of getting all of that stuff though. Actually, I think Militia was a mistake. Okay, he's buying provinces now. Which means hopefully I didn't mess up by not getting one this turn. But like I said, the more victory cards they get, the worse their deck is. So he might be buying one too early as well. I'm saying he, I should be saying they. I don't know they are a he or a she. Let's see. I can have a Throne Room Lab to get 2 actions back, or I could Throne Room Militia, it doesn't really matter. I think I want another Throne Room so I can get an extra action as well. I might... That might be a luxury I couldn't afford to do, is waiting on to buy another province. We'll see what happens here. Oh, they have library. Draw until you have 7 cards in hand, skipping any action cards you choose to. Set those aside, discarding them afterwards. It's a really strong card. That plus Sentry gives them some really good deck control. Ooh, this is a bad hand for us. I'm not going to be able to buy a province this turn either. Now, it can look pretty dire when they start like getting a big lead on victory points in you, but remember, they're making their deck a lot worse right now. So, sometimes when someone gets an early lead, they can get punished for it. I'm gonna grab a Sentry for some deck consistency here. Okay, this is a great starting hand. Library is the kind of card I don't have a great feel for. Okay, their deck is looking quite consistent right now. Run Room the Laboratory. And I guess I'll Throne Room the Militia. If I'm playing 2 militias a turn, I can afford to get rid of a silver, but I'm gonna leave the flexibility here. We'll just play that again. And we need to start buying provinces. I'm already potentially way behind. between me militiaing them every turn, and them adding bad cards to their deck, they still seem to have copper in their deck. I see some right there. I think we can maybe, hopefully, consistently get some provinces now, and they might miss a turn or two, we can catch up. Discard 2. I'm gonna keep the cards that let me draw through my deck. Go ahead and play Sentry first. I drew the Chapel. I'd actually like to trash that. We're not gonna trash either of these. I'm gonna discard the silver so I can go to the bottom of my deck. I know I'm drawing a laboratory. Two cards left, so this laboratory will draw all of them. I can kind of afford to trash the silver, but that means I always have to throne room a militia in order to buy a province. I'm going to leave the silver in my hand. The militia gets a little worse as they get more provinces and victory cards because they're going to end up just trashing their victory cards. Or discarding them. Okay, they got a bad hand finally. They were forced to buy a duchy, which gives us a chance to catch up here. Maybe not with his hand. Let's throne room the Sentry. Discard both of those. Shoot, I'm not gonna get to draw these though. That's too bad. And we're not gonna be able to buy a province this turn. Yes we will. No, we won't. I thought I had two, but it was showing it from that still. I'm not gonna trash anything. Ooh, this is really rough. I guess I'll get a... I gotta buy a duchy here. So both of our decks are struggling slightly compared to how they were earlier. Looks like he's got a... Oh, he had a bad turn there. I thought he was about to get a good turn. This is... I drew a bunch of victory cards here, which is not great. But... He's looking better. The militia. Province. So we're getting like extra money. A lot of kingdoms will have plus buys and you'll be able to buy more than one thing in a turn. Alright, so we need him to not buy a province this turn. Alright, he did, so he got the win. So yeah, I got really punished for waiting a turn to buy the province there. I also had one bad hand in there where I bought one turn even later than I wanted to. But that is Dominion. This is legitimately one of my favorite games. I haven't played a lot of board games, but this is one of the best games I've ever played. Just like in general. It's very, very good. So feel free to check it out. But I'll leave this one here for now. We'll do a few more games on the channel. I think this one's fun. If you guys want to see more, this like isn't roguelike stuff, so I don't know how much I should do because it's a little bit outside of what I normally do. Although honestly, as time goes on, I like having my channel just to be more about me sharing things I love with you guys. And this is one of those things. But I also know, like, people want to see roguelikes and traditional roguelikes here, so I try to keep it focused on that. But I think this is a game worth sharing. So we'll do a few more episodes of this. I want to at least be able to show off an engine-style deck, which are a lot of fun. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, guys, and I'll catch you guys for the next one. Take it easy, y'all.